As we continue to celebrate winter in the parks, today we are exploring New York State Parks. I'm thrilled to welcome Chris Rickard. Chris is the park manager at Lake Taconic State Park. Chris, welcome to the Parks Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
When people explore New York parks in winter, what kind of different activities just broadly throughout the winter can they expect to see?
Oh, especially New York State, we have very diverse state, but some of the regular things you would think of, just a regular hike, right? Going hiking, whether it be around the lake, a small nature trail. We have small hiking loops. We have really big, long loops to hike around. My lake's about a 5-mile hike, which you can just go hiking. There's a lot of the trails get packed down, so you can start off with just a set of hiking boots, maybe a set of gaiters, and some crampons, some small micro spikes in the wintertime. And obviously then we have all the other fun activities with the toys, right? We have sledding in some of our parks. We have snowmobiling, believe it or not. Even here at my park at Lake Taconic, it's a good warm up for if you're going to go north, where we have about 10 miles of trails. So if you want to get your sled ready for the big runs up north, we obviously have snowshoeing, which is you bring your own snowshoes. We do have some facilities in the Taconic region that do rent snowshoes or do have guided snowshoe hikes. Like I said, sledding is Mills Norrie State Park on the Hudson River is probably the primo sledding, nice, safe area to go. I did it for the first time last year there and was blown away. Reminds me when I grew up in Manhattan, so we had some sledding hills in Riverside Park. Somehow the Hudson River with that valley there, you get some really good sledding hills. So even these people wouldn't think an historic site is a place to have a blast sledding, but believe it or not, you have the Gilded Age behind you and you're sliding down the hill towards the river safely. So it's really cool. Other activities I can think of, one thing too is we do have hunting in some of our parks. That's a winter activity. Hunting season just ended for most of New York State, but we do offer hunting during in season. And we obviously usually separate a lot of our popular areas for hiking. We separate the hunting to the more backwoods, to our more wild parts of the park, including mine.
And then New York has more than 250 parks, recreation areas, and historic sites, which that number blew my mind. And so that really, it just makes it so that there's a huge variety of activities. And as we lead into the holiday season and then winter, hardcore winter, what are some of the highlights that visitors can look forward to?
So one of the things everyone's got to check out is frozen waterfalls, right? We have something New York State has is amazing waterfalls. Obviously, Niagara is the first one on everyone's list. And when it's iced up, it's pretty cool. But there's Taconic Falls out in the center of the state. We have a trail close to us that goes out to Bash Bish Falls. It starts in New York and you end up in another state, which is really cool. And it's less than a mile hike. So really cool along this beautiful trout stream through this really beautiful Hemlock Valley. So frozen waterfalls are a really cool kind of destination on hikes. That's a lot of people love, like they say, don't go chasing waterfalls. Well, hikers love to do that.
We do.
In wintertime, it really gives the water's clear because of the reflection from just the snow. You actually look, there's like blue water. It's beautiful because of just the reflections they have. So it's a totally different take on a regular, would you take a summer hike to a waterfall? It's a really unique experience. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that you're mentioning of just other state parks we have. Again, we have Fonstok Winter Park is our premier cross-country ski center. It's only about an hour and a half from New York City. So when they do finally get some southern snow in the mid-Hudson Valley there, that's where it has everything. You can rent snowshoes, you can rent cross-country skis there, both the traditional skis and skate skiing. For some folks, that's a very European way of skate skiing because they do a very professional job of grooming their trails.
Your park in your region is very active, and so it's outside activities. But as I was looking at the calendar of events for the holiday season in New York, some of the things I thought were really interesting is there's a storybook trail and craft outing, which felt very for the kids. So it's like, what a great activity to bring your kids to. There was wreath making, and the one that it took me back to my childhood was making pine cone bird feeders. And so I think a lot of your parks are really trying to incorporate the kid in all of us of all ages to be able to encourage people to come outside. And a lot of those are guided, which I think if you're new to parks, it's really helpful to have someone guide you, hold your hand and teach you how do we use our parks and what parks are available for us.
Yeah, 100%. Our busy season is the summer here, but our neighboring parks, Taconic State Park, Copake Falls, has a wonderful interpreter. They do almost weekly events there. Obviously, the first day hike is going to be statewide. There's all different levels now because it's gotten so popular. It's almost every single state park offers some sort of guided hike on that January 1st. Some are for the morning for the folks that didn't stay up all night. And they do have some that's afternoon for the folks that are just waking up. But statewide, ever from walkway over the Hudson, which is a pedestrian bridge, to, again, Taconic State Park, Copake Falls, which does a waterfall hike. There's rail trail hikes. There's small loops that are done, but all are guided. And usually the cool thing is at the end has some sort of hot cocoa or warming at the end of that. And it's open to all ages. Like, that's a big thing. Some are dog friendly. You can check that. So that's important to a lot of people if they're well behaved. Sometimes people with dogs in social settings don't get along with everyone. So that's something to make sure that if your dog is well behaved, bring it along, but just check with the park before you
Yeah.
go. But again, I don't know if I mentioned, there's obviously the Park Explorer app where a lot of these events can be listed. We do have an app that's out. Our website was just recently updated to be much more user-friendly, that you can use both of those, both the app and the website, to really hone in. If you want some more details, you go to the website that has all the listing of the rules and but the Explorer app, it's called the New York State Parks Explorer app, which automatically, if it knows your location, will list parks that are near you. You just quickly click on the park, and they'll actually
that's
have the
great.
calendar events that are coming up for that park.
And if you go to the episode page on theparkspodcast.com, I will link to all of these sites that you're
Okay,
mentioning so
awesome.
that people have an easy link. One of the things I also want to point out, and every state park does this, but I thought it was really prominent in New York, is the guided activities. You've mentioned a lot of the activities, but there's also programs if you want to learn how to snowshoe, how to bird watch, how to ice skate, which is really, it's important to offer those, and that's really seems to be prevalent and a big priority in New York State.
Yeah, very much so. Rockefeller State Park Preserve down in Westchester County they have interpreters that will do exactly that. They do bird walks, they'll do owl walks, and they'll actually play calls so that you can call owls, which is a really cool event. Animal tracks, right? That's a really cool, fun thing to learn, and that's guided. And they do that at Taconic State Park. They also do that at Rockefeller, that I'm aware of in the region. And again, the historic sites, as much as some people think history's dry, especially in the winter, especially with the holiday decorations right now, those interpreters just walking and seeing how it was to live back in the 30s. And even before that, we have the American Revolutionary sites. John Jay Homestead is a really cool place. Phillips Manor Hall just had a huge renovation done to it and does some amazing interpretation with all the different storytellings from the indigenous folks to the enslaved to just really just well put together. And there's nothing cooler than coming into Yonkers, which is a bustling little metropolis of its own. And there's this beautiful historic site that tells really the stories of the manor days back in the time and what New York City area, or at least the tri-state area, looked like back in the 1700s, 1800s.
Those have become, it was a surprise to me, but those historic sites, historic parks have become one of my favorite things to discover. I thought I would be just the nature hiking,
Sure.
camping person, and it's amazing how our parks and history really do work well together.
100%. And a lot of our parks were formed by these large, very rich landowners that ended up ultimately passing on those big lands back to the people, which is a lot of how New York State Parks has been created, by just gifts
Yeah.
and land sales. So it's we now all get to enjoy what those people got to enjoy back in the day.
Absolutely. So we've talked about broadly about New York State parks in the winter and the holiday season. We've talked about first day hikes, how every state is going to participate. Let's talk about your park at Lake Taconic a little bit. What do you guys have going on this holiday season and this winter?
So right now we do have a layer we got about 6 inches of snow in the last storm, maybe a little more than that. We sit a little higher. So right now we're open for regular hiking. We have a 5-mile loop around the lake, which is very easy to follow. We do have some other back loops. We have probably about, like I said, about 10 miles, 15 miles of hiking in the park. We also allow snowmobiling. So we have some of those back trails. You can take the lake loop snowmobiling. We don't get busy, so it doesn't interfere with our hikers really. We maybe get, I would say, a dozen or so snowmobiles a year here. So it's a testing ground before they go up north. We don't have enough trails, but it is a place that's just one activity if you got a new Christmas present and wanted to try it out. Snowshoeing, this is a great park for it. Like I said, we have those backcountry trails. Ice skating, we don't maintain, but once we get, like right now, how the ice is setting up, as long as you don't get too much snowfall, that will smooth over very nice. And then ice fishing is huge here. We have great ice fishing on our lake. We perch, pickerel, largemouth bass is what we have in our lake. Last year was probably the busiest I've seen in probably 20 years of folks
Really?
coming out. The stuff they sell now, they have ice shelters. So it looked like we had ice shelters all over these throw up tents, all over the ice. Families out, multiple families. So we had a group of about 4 families, just generations of folks that were out there. And it was just great to see because, again, with climate change, some of the winters have not been ideal for that, but it comes in phases. Last winter was really good for ice fishing. We had state troopers here practicing their diving, and they cut these huge blocks out of the ice, and they were almost 2 feet of ice on the lake,
Wow.
which was amazing, which we haven't seen in a long time. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that is really neat. And I know New York parks can be very busy. Tried to spend more time up there last summer, and I'm a last minute planner, so it didn't work out very well for me. How far in advance can people book reservations at the parks?
So you can do up to, for cottages and cabins and campsites, you can do up to 9 months in advance. And that is highly recommended if you want to stay in the parks during peak season, especially those big holidays, which are obviously kicks off on Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day. Those are our busiest. Columbus Day falls in there with that beautiful fall foliage. We have people that will sit online at midnight to the 9 months of the day and still not get the reservation because
Yeah.
everyone's clicking the same time. But during the week, even in peak season, there's more availability.
You can sometimes get lucky for those short windows, but
Sure.
it is a good time now, just a reminder to be thinking about your spring, summer, fall plans and
Yes.
go ahead and get things booked for New York State parks.
100%.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I love hearing about New York State parks. I need to get to Lake Taconic to play in your park sometime soon. But thank you so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Happy holidays to you, Chris. Happy holidays to you, listeners. And until next time, we'll see you in the parks. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like and share on your favorite podcast platform. Music for the Parks podcast is performed and produced by Porter Hardy. For more information, please follow us at The Parks Podcast or visit our website at theparkspodcast.com.